DFL Somalia 2005. 1999, and Médecins Sans Frontieres received the Nobel Peace Prize. For over 30 years, MSF has combined medical assistance with standing up for human rights. In Doctors on the Front Line, we have seen how MSF focuses its slim resources on the areas and places of greatest need in the trouble spots of the world. In the capital of Haiti, it was treating the victims of gunshot wounds. In a remote part of southern Sudan, work centred on feeding the starving. In Honduras, it was help for the child victims of street violence. This time we return to Africa and go to Somalia, a country riven by clan violence, anarchy and environmental devastation. In one remote corner of this country, with no government, MSF provides an outpost of a civil society.
She came from 40 kilometers from Dinsour with labor pain for 3 days. So she came, unfortunately the baby is not alive. So we are giving drugs to help her deliver a normal delivery. So we have put something to stimulate the contractions. So we are regulating now, and we want to see, to examine her how far she is, then we can.
Does she know the baby is not alive?
Yeah, she was informed.
The mother appeared resigned to the loss. In Somalia, 1 out of 10 babies die at birth. But that day was set to be different at the MSF hospital in Dinsour. The baby was alive, healthy, and particularly alert. Fatima Gedi, the MSF nurse, suggested he should be called Abdul Nasib, the lucky one.
That will be the name.
It was a typical Somali story. Unpredictable, like the country itself. Since the fall of President Mohammed Said Barre in 1991, Somalia has been the only country in the world without a central government. Warlords hold sway in the anarchy and inter-clan fighting. At the beginning of the 90s, Operation Restore Hope, a United Nations humanitarian mission backed by the US, was a fiasco. The news coverage ensured that Somalia as a place of ceaseless violence is imprinted on our minds. Finally, in 2004, after 13 failed attempts, a transitional government was appointed. But it's based in Kenya because Somalia is too dangerous to have a home-based government. It's now rumoured to be a new haven for Al-Qaeda. For humanitarian workers, it's the land of all dangers. MSF's been in Dinsour, in southern Somalia, since 2002, running the only health centre in an area with a population of 100,000 people. 14 years of civil war have been devastating. 3 out of 4 people lack access to even the most rudimentary health care. By Somali standards, Dinsour is relatively calm, but this being Somalia, it still means it's a high-risk MSF outpost. For Volker Lankau, a veteran of Afghanistan and Sudan, ensuring security is as important as carrying out MSF's medical mission.
We have a war in Somalia, so now we mean when there is a clash, yeah, it depends also how severe is the clash. When the balance is disturbed, it has a big impact on our project, and probably we have to go there. So.
And close down completely?
Probably. It's not predictable at all. When we have a clash, we don't want to come in a crossfire or something like that. But on the other hand, when there is a clash, we have to look after wounded people.
And clashes are a way of life here. This 42-year-old man was wounded by a bullet in a fight over land between two clans, in a village 40 kilometres away.
So the bullet came in through the chest,
yeah, and come out
out on the other side and hit the left arm.
190.
The bullet is still in the arm?
No, it was come out.
It came out?
Yeah, you can just look at it.
But it came out and lodged in the arm because the arm is also injured.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a look and see.
He was lucky, really.
Yeah, he's alive, he's lucky.
100 over 90.
He had a hole in one of his lungs, but the bullet missed his heart. The doctors had to anaesthetise him to clean up the wound, but first the family had to consent. It's a vital security measure for MSF. For here, a death during a medical procedure can lead to a blood feud. In this case, both the uncle and the brother agree. For them, dying in a fight or in an operating room amounts to the same thing.
He said, the uncle, he said, as soon as possible, he said, I will go back. He said, let it sign now. He said, the war is still continue. We want to go back for the war.
They want to go back and fight?
Yeah, they want to go back to fight.
But the signs of fighting they can see is not very good. Why do they want to go back and fight? He said, we are just defending, he said, our village, so we have to die there instead to run from the enemy. And still the war is going on there in the village. So, in other words, we have to be ready for more casualties now?
Still 4 there, but they are soft, injury. They are not in the danger, but he said MSF should have to be ready for them. For this moment, more casualties.
A quick visit to the patient, and it was off to war again. The uncle, a militia leader, was only too happy to leave the hospital behind. His nephew was in good hands. Clan warfare is the norm in Somalia. But so far, in Dinsour, there is a semblance of peace. For 3 years, a group called Rahenwain Resistance Army, or the RRA, controlled the district. But internal conflicts put an end to that era, and authority is now in the hands of clan elders. MSF deals with them. Abtafit Sheikh Hussein is an elder. He's a born survivor, trained a long time ago in Cuba. He's weathered the turmoil of the last 14 years. From a ministry in the Siad Barre government to district commissioner under the RRA, he's now the interface between MSF and the elders. Hussein is an expert in clan protocol, and MSF is careful to consult him, especially on local recruitment. In Somalia, favouring one person or clan over another can be disastrous.
The biggest issue also in regarding security is staff management. And you cannot go and you cannot say to someone, okay, you did this, you breached your duty and you will be fired. So it can be a very tough issue. It can go until threat and until death threats. So to avoid this, we involve the community leaders, the district commission, the health committee, that's to do a decision with them together.
It's always a bit... You have to be very diplomatic, whatever you're talking about, all the time. It all takes hours. It's important to... I'm learning about diplomacy because you constantly have to negotiate. Even the smallest things are negotiated.
They have a very good painter.
Bertrand Rossier, the Swiss field coordinator, is learning the hard way. He's been in Dinsour several months and has been supervising the construction of a new building for the hospital. He has to deal with a group of contractors representing the 4 Dinsour clans. It's no small task. Their prices are extortionate, their negotiations endless, but they in turn seem to be under pressure from their own clan members.
In fact, one of the main sources of income are the roadblocks. The trucks go by and they collect taxes, or when the cars go by. And for several months, there hasn't been much traffic passing through Dinsour, very few vehicles, and that means no income for the community. So they take what they can get. So all the construction work here has to be negotiated with contractors, who represent 400 or 500 people from the community. So each clan is represented, and each job is negotiated with them on price and on the terms of the contract, and they can allocate the work within the community. So for them, it's an essential part of income.
Chaque travail est négocié avec eux au niveau du prix, au niveau du contrat, et ensuite eux ils redistribuent le travail au niveau de la communauté. Donc pour eux c'est une source de revenus essentielle.
Somalia is the only country where MSF employs armed guards. Fatima Gidi, a Somali nurse from Kenya, has left her husband and children back at home to work with MSF for a year. She has to make her daily rounds of tuberculosis patients with Diko, a bodyguard. Although Fatima is from a different clan, she's been accepted by the people of Dinsour. That's not the case for TB patients.
Oh, actually TB is a stigma here in Somali community. Even they don't come and say that they have TB, or they might even deny they have TB. They believe in a lot of things because of fear of stigmatization. So it takes time for us to talk to these people, convince them that this patient has been investigated and he has TB, and TB is curable. If it's not treated, you can die for it. So it's not something very big. So I think with that counseling, we have managed to get a lot of patients. When we were starting the program in September, we had only, up to December, 17 patients. And now we have 170 something, around 180 patients now on the program.
It was the same with Western medicine. People prefer to consult a traditional healer first before going to hospital. Eduardo Cott, the Kenyan doctor who's been in Dinsour for a year, is still baffled by some practices.
It's actually a growth that has been going on slowly. So initially she was normal, but then the swelling developed, and I think they took to a traditional medicine man who initiated this kind of treatment, and their burn treatment.
This ban was 1 month ago.
See how she's doing in front. Why did they ban also the front of the chest?
Because they said, you know, since she get deformed on the back, they're just running about. They're afraid that to get on the deformed on the also for the chest.
Oh, they fear that the chest will also grow like the back was growing. So they ban in advance.
The 15-year-old girl's spinal tuberculosis will be cured, but the swelling and the burn marks will never disappear. Abdi Ame Kosana calls himself the official doctor of Dinsour. He says burns are the work of pastoralist healers. He says he's unthreatened by the presence of MSF. He's a busy man.
I don't have time.
A few questions later, and he's more forthcoming.
My way of treating is the way of modern treatment. It's not like the traditional way. It's the same as in hospitals. It's an operation, it's a treatment, it's a dressing. So it's the same as the modern doctors are doing.
Abdi's reputation is such that this man came from Mogadishu especially to see him.
They took me to the hospital in Shifo. They put metal in my leg and then I got infected. They operated again and put in more bits of metal. In the end, they couldn't cure me, so they advised me to have my leg cut off. They took me back to Nairobi. I came back here again. They found a bone that wasn't doing anything. Abdi pulled it out, and this is the bone.
The patient still can't bend his leg, but he says he's cured. He needs no convincing about Abdi's skills. He says he'll keep the bones to show to the doctors back in Mogadishu. But what's really made Abdi's reputation is his lion. He bought it from a nomad when it was 2 months old. He calls it Barre after the dictator. Locals call him the Lion Man. He told us when the new government arrives, he'll sell his lion to a zoo. Back in the MSF compound, Volker and Bertrand are stuck in one of their endless discussions with the toughest contractors.
Good afternoon.
The others are glued to the radio for news. President Yusuf and his transitional parliament are rowing about when and where to move the government. Mogadishu, the old capital, is too dangerous.
Nothing in Somalia? Nothing in Somalia. We were waiting to hear about Somalia, but nothing covered today.
What are you expecting?
We wanted to know about the government, the federal government. Everybody already wants to know the fate of the government, so everybody wants to know every day what's happening at least.
In Dinsour, the first wave of excitement over the new government has abated. Rumours circulate about President Yusuf's sympathies with the age-old foe, Ethiopia, of warlords gathering armies, of clan clashes in neighbouring villages. Dinsour, traditionally neutral, is now pro-Yusuf. Its relative calm is under threat. Two clans, the Dabari and the Galedale, have started to buy technicals, the Somali term for an armed 4x4. The clans are thought to have up to 20 technicals each. Haidar Sidi Ibrahim of the Dabari clan lives right next door to the MSF compound and has 3 technicals in his courtyard.
Each one of our technicals can destroy 10 of our enemy's technicals. We've seen it happen. We also have people who are defending our territory. The people are happy when they see one of our new technicals arrive. They think that it makes them safe. If we have 2 more technicals, it means we can defend ourselves better.
Each technical costs approximately $22,000. Each shell, $4. And every clan member has to contribute. A clan can't afford to be seen to be losing the arms race.
We've been forced to buy these weapons because there's no government. If there was a central government, we wouldn't have all these problems. But because there isn't one, we've had to do it.
That week, Volker Landko decides to organise a workshop for the town elders. It's a way of clearing up misunderstandings, a reminder of the role and mission of MSF. But what really comes out of the meeting is the anxiety of the elders. MSF's presence is a badge of its relative stability. They don't want MSF to be driven out because of insecurity. Dinsour, they say, is nothing like Mogadishu.
Firstly, things are okay here, and now we can defend ourselves even in the most far-off regions. We're happy to welcome MSF. But there are places where whites can't work, like Mogadishu, the capital. It's a dangerous place. We are even too scared to go to Mogadishu. In Mogadishu, tradespeople, chiefs and whites are hunted down. You see, we can go anywhere except Mogadishu.
The MSF cook agrees. After working in Saudi Arabia for many years, he's come home and found work at the hospital. For him, MSF must stay, as it employs so many people. As for security...
Not in Somalia, but our country Dinsour is very good.
But outside Dinsour?
Outside, 300 kilometers, no problem.
Aren't there incidents?
Nothing. If you kill a person, they will kill you, so you will not kill.
Edward Okot has worked here for a year. He has a ritual every day. After the morning rounds, he has a Somali breakfast of camel meat with the local MSF staff.
No, it's good. It's good. It's very soft actually. I think she chooses the tender part here. Sometimes, we eat the same in the compound sometimes, but it depends on the person who is choosing. I think sometimes our cook chooses the hard part, then you find yourself struggling with the meat. I eat a lot of meat in Kenya, and that's why I eat meat here. I go back to the compound and eat meat again. Don't tell the other team members.
Edward will be leaving Dinsour in 15 days. He says this will be the last assignment he takes in Somalia.
The thing is, you work in the hospital, and from the hospital you go straight to the compound, and you cannot leave the compound. Now, this gives you a feeling of confinement. I mean, it's like you're under house arrest. So, I mean, due to this kind of reason, it's very difficult to stay in such kind of a place for a very long time.
A few months later, the UN cancelled all flights from Kenya to Somalia. The entire MSF expatriate team was evacuated for 12 days. When they came back, they had to face a new problem: drought, one of the worst in recent years. In Dinsour, everybody's praying that the wells don't dry up before the next rains in April. The cattle are dying, and the health centre is starting to fill with malnourished children. Bertrand has finished the new building and started the renovation of the older ones. He knows the contractors well by now. As for the new government, President Youssouf and his political rival Sheikh Adan reached an understanding in January 2006. Everybody hopes that this time Somalia will at last reunite after 14 years of division. Everybody's tired of war, but here fighting is a tradition. As the old Somali proverb goes, it's myself against my family against other families of my clan against all other clans, and all the Somalis against the rest of the world.